Good morning, Westminster. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, Ken.
And let's welcome our producer, director, and spiritual mentor, Boyd Taylor.
Hi,
Hello,
Boyd.
Ken. Hello, Carol. How are you this morning?
Good. And
Good
our
to see
very
you.
special guest this morning is Helen Spear. And Helen knows all the secrets and everything about our library because she is Mrs. Library, and everybody knows that. So
She runs the library.
She
at
runs
Westminster.
the library,
All right.
yes. And Helen, we were realizing that a lot of the people who have moved in, particularly just this last year, know nothing about a lot of the different things that are available in the building, our committees, or excuse you, Ken. And so why don't you just open up and tell all these people, and particularly the new ones, what the library is all about and what part they can take in it, and what you can tell us about everything that's in there. That
Okay.
sound okay?
I'll jump right in then. I really
Good.
appreciate your having me all to do this, because I've been so anxious to let people, especially the newcomers, know about the library and what we have here in
Right.
Westminster. Very good. Okay, actually, I'm amazed at how many of the newcomers have already found the library, including one woman who was here on her first day of being in Westminster. I think it took me 2 weeks to get out of unpacking before I got out of my apartment.
I bet she was really glad to find you.
Well, I've been involved in libraries for a very long time. My mother was an avid reader. She got me my first library card at the age of 4. I would like to say I read, but I'm sure I didn't. I think it was all picture books, or she read it to me. But I've been involved with libraries for many years. I was on the Austin Public Library Commission for 28 years, including being the president. At any rate, when I got here, the first thing I did was to sign up for being a worker in the library. And I did that for 4 or 5 months. I've been here about 8 years now, but I did that for about 4 or 5 months, just being at the front desk like many of the librarians are here. And then, I was also making out some cards for the card catalog. I was so excited to find a card catalog here. Any rate.
Helen, where was the library then?
The library was on the ground floor of the other building, not my building.
Yeah.
And they were building this intervening place with the library when I came in, but it was not open at that time. Pat,
Helen, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Where's the library? Will the library stay where it is after the renovations?
I'm sorry, what did you ask me?
The library going to remain in the same location after the renovations?
That's my understanding, that when the new building goes up, it's still going to be in the same location. They might take some of the business part away from it, so we might have a little bit more room for books, but we'll have to wait and see how that happens. Okay, at any rate, I was having a very happy time being a volunteer here. I had been volunteering at the public library from the time I retired until I moved in here to Westminster. And Pat Spur, who was the chairman at that time, or the head of the library group here, she said, Helen, I'm going to have to retire, but I would like you to be the head of the library. And I said, well, Pat, I'm very flattered by that, but I'm not a librarian. I've never been to library school or anything like that. And so I said to her, how about asking what's her name, another person on the, and she said, well, she won't do it. well, how about so-and-so? Well, she won't do it. Well, after the third one wouldn't do it, I figured they were going to get me with or without a library degree. And so that's what I've been doing ever since. And it's a lot of work, but I just love it. And we have lots of helpers doing all kinds of things, like making out the cards for the card file. And Chris does that. That's a big job. Certainly writing up the thing for the banner every week that Phyllis Shankin does is very important. And the people that are sitting at the front desk and on and on. I mean, we have so many helpful people that are making it work. And while I mention that, if any of the new people.
How many helpers do you have? Would you estimate on your?
I'm sorry, what did you ask me?
How many helpers would you have, would you estimate?
Of people who are in the library?
Yeah.
Well, look at the last report I sent you and see what, I think they're like 20 something.
There are over 20, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And actually, and there are people at the desk in the library Monday through Friday from 10 to 12 and 3 to 5. But the library is always open. And I know that for a fact because at night I go down after dinner and make sure all the books that have been turned in are ready to be checked out the next day and change the date stamp and do all these little things. And I leave a spotless library. Everything's fine. I come in the next morning and there have been books checked out and cards to be filed and so on. So people are using it. And in fact, in this pandemic time, our circulation has gone up incredibly. So we're very happy that we can be here. And if anyone, especially anybody, but especially the new members, would be interested in working in the library, just leave me a note or call me up. The directory has the information you need. I just want to tell you about how we get the books. We put out about 9 books every month, and that's what you see written up in the banner. We get 2 books from the residence committee. We can buy 2 free books a month. I mean, they give us the money for that. And so I always make that large print because more and more people here are needing large print books and very few people donate them. But 2 books every month are the large print ones that we've been able to buy. So the rest of them come from the residents who live here. And in some cases, people who don't even live here who call up and say, we have some books, would you be interested in looking at them? And we're always interested in looking at whatever donations you have. If it fits into our library, then we would very much like to have it and put it out at some point. If you bring a book, it's helpful if you leave your name on it so that we can let you know if we can't use it. We'll tell you what the options are that you might want to do with it. And if you don't care to ever see it again, just leave the book and we'll use it if we can. And we really appreciate your doing that.
Helen, what are some of those options? If it's a book you can't use, it goes to some good use, I know.
Yes. It goes to the first step that would go to is here, which would be at Hidden Treasures. And now they're not taking them right now, so we don't know what's going to happen when it starts up again. But if Hidden Treasures couldn't use it, then the other thing is I've taken some of them over to the other building, to the 3rd floor, actually, in the Arbor. And on the 3rd floor, there's a little library there. And on the 2nd floor, Monica has set up a library type thing. And so I bring books over that I think they might want that we can't use, especially if it's a duplicate or something like that. And otherwise, we had been taking it to the whatever the university, the public library has as their book thing on not too far from here.
I think that's called Recycled Reads, isn't it?
There you go, Recycled Reads. Okay.
Barnett Road, yeah.
So they haven't been taking them recently, but we found another very good Pardon?
I was going to ask you.
Did someone say something?
No, yes, I was going to ask you, do you have plenty of room for all the books that you have and have coming in?
Well, I have to hold on to all the ones that I want to put out, even though I'm not going to put it out this month. It might be in another month or so. We don't have enough room, except that Boyd very kindly gave us found a a locker for us to have. And so I try to put the overflow in the locker, which I haven't done recently, but we won't go into that right now. Okay, we do the best we can.
And Helen, I think did you tell me you stored some overflow in cabinets underneath the shelves?
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, because that's one of the things, if we did our regular presentation, like as we used to do, we would tell about that. When we inherited or we didn't inherit the library was built, we came in, the librarians had wanted there to be more open space in shelves, but it didn't happen that way. They have these cabinets below. You can't really open them up and put books in them in that way. But we put books down underneath in the same alphabetical order as it is in the shelves above. So if we have a lot of books by one author, which we do in many cases, we keep the most current ones up at the top, and then just open the cabinet at the bottom and you'll see those books that are there for checking out too. So that works pretty well. That's helped us a lot. Okay.
That's good, because I didn't know that. And I've been in there several times to look for a specific author, then thinking I had read almost everything, but I couldn't find the one that I wanted. So now I know to look in the cabinets under there too.
Good.
But if I came in and I wanted to get an autobiography, do you just have to kind of look all over everywhere to find where they are, or is there some way that they're labeled, there's autobiographies here or history here, or what? How do we find things?
Okay, well, when you walk into the library, on the left-hand side is where we have our fiction, and that's all in alphabetical order from the A's and by author. Okay, and you go all the way around, and a little bit on the next side, you still are on the fiction thing, but then comes the nonfiction, and we have about 3 or 4 things of nonfiction. The nonfiction is done by the Dewey Decimal System, but it's pretty easy to figure out. It's not a big thing. The ones that are taken out most are the biographies or autobiographies or memoirs, and those are all in the 920s, 920. The history is in the 900s. And if you look at in our, well, next time you come to the library, get someone to show you how you can find it in the card catalog and find where you're looking for it. That'll help you do that.
Now I know you.
I know there was something very important.
Well, you'll think of it.
Go ahead.
I see people in there during the day reading a newspaper. How many copies of the newspaper do you get in there a day? That I mean, just one of several papers, or more than one?
Westminster pays for, I'm very happy to say, they pay for 3 newspapers, which I discovered is exactly what it says in the library book of what all libraries should have, which is the local paper, which is the Austin American Statesman. The other one is a paper of record, which means that it has to be published 7 days a week. And we have the New York Times, and then we have the Wall Street Journal, because between the Times and the Journal, we really can take care of all of our patrons. And we get 1 copy each day, and it's in a little, when you come into the library and turn to the right, you see a little place that the things are. And it works out very well. Occasionally somebody will wait. They're very helpful. And if you come in and want, oh, I wanted to read that, and somebody else is, they'll offer another section to you in the meantime. And we've been very happy with that. So it works so well.
The resident association pays for that in addition to the 2 books you were speaking about.
Yes, they pay for that, and they pay for one, I don't know if they're still going to be doing it, but one magazine, which is Time magazine. We have a shelf. Well, if I'm sitting at the desk, it's over on my right. That has a lot of magazines that people bring into us. There, some people regularly bring us the New Yorker, Smithsonian, a lot of, well, there's just a lot of magazines there. And very often when people are having their apartments cleaned, they'll come down and get that one of the magazines and sit at the table or sit on the furniture.
That's a good idea. Good idea.
Yeah, that works out very well. So
good. How about some of the business? Oops,
Sorry.
sorry, some of the business machines you have, like the copier, and you got me the other day because I kept saying the printer, and you corrected me that it's the copier. It doesn't print, it
Right.
copies. And you said it's very simple to operate. Well, it wasn't for me, but then that's typical. That's not where I'm interested. But anyway, why don't you tell them exactly what's available in that copying machine or any other machines?
Like it's fax too, right? Fax.
Pardon?
Fax
No.
also, right?
Yes, there's a fax also. We've been having a lot of trouble with the fax. Some people can get it to work. I can get it to work all the time, but when I tell somebody else how to work it, it doesn't go. So if they can't use the fax, if they can't use the fax, I just tell them, go down to the front desk, one of the front desks,
Right.
and they'll send it for you. But the reason I keep stressing the copy machine and not the printer, it is a copy machine. And if you go and turn it on, and then you get some options that you want, and copy is one and printer is another, and people will say, oh, well, I want to print something, and they'll press the print button, and options of how to use it come up that make no sense at all, because you must print the copy. You must push the copy button, and then it starts to tell you, how you can use it. So, and then sometimes many of the librarians who are in there will tell you. And sometimes if you see people working around there who've been there a lot, they might know if nobody's there. Or you can always call me and I'll come down and tell you how to get it working.
Oh, that's
Well,
about
I'm going to remember
yeah.
that because I've been in there at least twice when I had to copy like some song sheets or something. I cannot for the life of me find quantity button or something. And so I just have stood there, and it's always when there's nobody in the library that I could ask. I'd probably be too embarrassed anyway. And I've punched copy 30 times for this one, and then I'd do 30 more times for the next one. And I'm thinking if there's any button that ought to be obvious, it's quantity. But next time I'm down there, I'll have you show me that so I won't have to do them one at a time.
Or call me up and I'll plan to come down there. Because as I say, some of the people who are there on hourly shifts during the week that I told you about, some of them know how to do it, and others, they're as bad with that technology as I am with this technology here. So I can understand, and I have a lot of empathy for them.
Right.
So Helen, do people have to social distance in there? I know that we're all wearing our masks, but it's not a really large space. So how many people can you accommodate at a time?
I've looked at it very carefully, and it works out fine if there are no more than 5 people in there. Especially some people are not walking around. They're sitting at one of the tables reading the newspaper. And I haven't put up a note about it because people don't seem to pay attention to notices. It tells you how to get out of the library by pushing this button over there on the side.
I can never remember that.
So I realize that giving the instructions, it doesn't work too well that way. So, and so I just, everybody recognizes though, they're very good. I've seen people come by when there are about 4 people in the library and they kind of go on their way with a shake, like I'll come back later or something like that.
Right.
So it works out. I just wanted to say before I forget, books can be checked out for 3 weeks. And if you're still not finished with the book, you can come by the library or call me or renew it for another 3 weeks unless someone is waiting for the book. If someone is waiting for it, then you have to, I'll let you know that you have to bring it in. And then after that other person reads it, I can put you back on the list again and you can have that. But 3 weeks or as long as you want, unless someone's waiting for that particular book. So.
Is there a fine?
Yeah. You have to say I'm sorry 3 times or something like that.
Now, if I'm a new person and I've always loved libraries and I walked in there, or if I wanted to do something be in your library committee, would I just look you up, or would I, and you would say, well, this is what we need somebody to do, make cards or something like that? And is that what new people should do who would like to be on your committee?
I think the best thing for new people to do would be to call me up. when we did this one before the pandemic, it was all, we introduced these things all at Harris Bell Hall, and there were lists where you could
Oh,
come and sign.
yes.
But in the meantime, just call me or email me, and I'll get back to you and let you know what's going on.
So in our at our annual meeting last year, we had sign-up tables for people who were interested in all the committees.
Right.
We won't be able to
Right.
do that this year, but we will have put out a list
Right.
of the committees and contact information with the chairs so that people will know how to contact you, Helen, if they're interested in the library.
Good. That's
And
very helpful.
I imagine there are some out there with the new residents, especially.
There are some new residents that haven't found it yet, I know, but I'm really amazed at how many new residents already have found it on their own and know how to do it, and it's very encouraging. We're very fortunate, Westminster is, to have a library. I think we've had it since Westminster first opened. I tried to find that out, but I think they did. And it's a fine library. One of the things, when I was looking around to see where I wanted to go to a retirement community, I went to every one of them that were around. And some of them had libraries, you might call them that, but they were so miserable. And I thought, that's not for me. And as soon as I saw the Westminster Library,
we had the same experience. We had the same experience. Some of them were just nothing but shelves with books that people didn't want anymore.
Right.
When they moved in and
right.
weren't really organized.
Right.
But we've really been fortunate here to have so many, and especially with you, Helen, but to have so many volunteers who've taken on this job, because it's
well, thank you.
It really is.
People work are lovely. They're wonderful. So I'm so glad you talked a little bit about that, because when I was mentioning about bringing books in, which we would love to have, I just want to mention that we even have books by our residents who live in Westminster. We have a number of books by residents. You can just look it up on the author.
Including Boyd Taylor.
I'm not going to.
I wasn't going to plug my new book, but
there's a certain somebody who's written 4 books already, and I'm still waiting to find out what's happening with Donnie Quinn. So get to it.
You'll find out you'll find out in January, Helen.
I said
that's the
same
number
thing
5.
to
It's
Boyd.
coming out.
Okay.
So
right.
Everything. Donnie's cycle ends in January. So.
Okay.
Well, Helen, this has been a wonderful presentation, and I know that so many people, including me, have just found out things today that I didn't even know about the library. And you certainly are the person to come to and to ask. We appreciate you so much and all the hours that you put into that. And thank you for coming on the show and telling us all about it. We appreciate it.
Well, I love the library. I've always loved libraries, and I'm so excited. I'm happy when people want books and ask me all these questions. And so please come to the library and enjoy it. And we'd love to see you and help you in any way we can.
Helen, thank you for making it a first-class facility. Just first class.
No, I did not make it a first-class facility. It was a first-class facility when I came here, and I'm standing on the shoulder of giants. The only major thing I made was you could check it out for only 2 weeks when I came here, and I said, well, the public library does it 3 weeks. So I don't see where that's my major contribution.
I agree. Well, thanks very much. And we'll be seeing you in the library.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about it.
Okay.
You're so welcome.
Thank you, Helen. Stay safe.
Have a good day.
Good. Ken, you have a library you could mention to us, don't you?
Well, the Austin Public Library, when it was dedicated about 20 years ago, they named it the John Henry Falk Library because of John Henry's work on the First Amendment. And he always said that reading is the most important thing that you can do to stay informed. So the John Henry Falk Library was named after my uncle. And I'd have to say they say it was well named for a person who really believed in the library system.
Wonderful man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Boyd, you have anything sterling to add to all of this?
Well, we've got some things going on here. Shall we get into that now? You have any stories you want to tell, Carol?
I can tell you, we're talking about some old places in Austin. I can tell you a quick story. My grandfather, and this would probably, well, I was probably about 7 years old when this particular incident happened, my grandfather was chief of detectives in Austin.
Oh,
And I was always impressed because and when we would visit their house, come up from the weekend from Houston, he had his gun and a holster hanging on the bedpost, which didn't seem to bother anybody, but I was a little concerned. Anyway, once we were there, oh, I'll tell you what he was known for. Every 2 weeks on Friday night, he would send out the paddy wagons and they would round up all the prostitutes, and everybody knew where they were and the girls were expecting it. And he would take them to this nearby clinic and they'd all get checked over, and then they'd take them out and let them all loose again. So that was kind of, I haven't ever heard of that anywhere else, but he said, well, they're going to be there, so they may as well be nice and clean. Anyway.
Did you say that was a
my-
win-win situation?
I did. It was win-win for everybody. But my family was visiting there, and I talked back to my mother, and my grandfather got upset with that. And he said, and my brother and I were kind of arguing. He said, come with me. And he drove us down and took us into the jailhouse, which was not, it was all cage-like. You could see all the way through it.
Yeah.
And he just walked us down. My brother was probably 11, I was 8. Walked us down the center of it, and there are these, mangy guys in there sticking their hand. Give me a cigarette. Well, I was petrified. And so we got to the last thing. There was an empty cage, and he said, step in there a minute. And so, I did, and I turned around. I said, I want to go out home. And he said, well, you ever going to talk back to your mother again? I said, no, Papa, no. So that's, as I said, that really worked on me. I've never forgotten what that jail cell felt like.
You have a criminal record. We didn't know about that.
I did. I did everything but do my thumb in the black ink there.
Yeah,
But
well,
anyway,
a grandfather would probably get arrested for doing that now.
probably. Well, my mother wasn't happy when I said, he
Yeah.
put me in a jail cell.
Well,
Anyway, that's my claim to old Austin fame.
well, speaking of prostitutes, as you were, there was a famous madam here called Miss Hattie Valdez, I think is her last name. Anyway, she was pretty well known. She had houses around Austin, and the story was that whenever she walked into the Texas National Bank, all the bankers stood up because she had so much money on deposit in the bank. She was worth millions.
I used to have that name.
My brother-in-law Hiram Brown was the owner of the Cabinets Brown Furniture Store, and Hattie sent her girls there to buy their furniture because they liked high quality furniture. And he said the credit manager, when a girl would come in and want to buy a sofa or probably a bed or whatever, he would call out to Hattie's and find out if she was a good credit risk, and Hattie would say sell it to her or don't sell it to her. So she was a real institution in Austin in those days. So that's my old Austin story.
Oh,
What
okay.
else going on?
Well, next week is Veterans Day, as you probably know, on the 11th, and so there's programs all week that have to do with that occasion. Starting, let me look here. I know that the U.S. Army Blues Band is going to do a Veterans Day concert and dance on 1890 on Monday this afternoon. There's Veterans Day programs all morning on Wednesday the 11th. We're going to hear from veterans at 10:30. There's going to be a tribute. There's going to be a Veterans Day program at 12:15. There's going to be a Veterans Day concert by the Austin Brass Band in the Preston Courtyard at 6:30 that night, Wednesday night. So we're going to do a lot here to honor our veterans, even though we can't meet together in Harrisville Hall like we usually do. And then there's quite a few Westminster Presents programs going on. Tonight, Bill Schluch is going to give a presentation on emotional well-being in the time of COVID, which will be interesting for us all. And I believe there's a presentation on buried treasure by Jim Woodrick on that's Thursday night. So
Oh, man, that sounds
it's
good.
going to be a busy week.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let me say real quick, if you haven't sent in your check yet for the RAF, so that's the Residents Appreciation Fund, please send that in today.
Yes, yes, we're getting only a couple of more weeks left in the drive. We're doing well, but we still need everybody's help to reach our goal.
Right.
So I think that's all we have time for today. Thanks again to Helen Spear for being here. And to all of you viewers out there, keep those suggestions coming. We'll see you next Monday at 8:30 in the morning. And until then, goodbye, Ken. Goodbye, Carol.
Goodbye, boys.
Goodbye,
Have a good week.
boy.
Stay
Have a
safe.
good week.